TDC for service, TDC for quality. TDC your company, TDC for service, TDC for quality.
TDC your company.
Together we succeed, building a strong community, pressing onward to our destiny. One love, one family. Together we succeed. Let the whole world see. Yes, this is 50.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow! Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to Voices for Friday, May 5th, 2023. It is 8 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour here in the studios of WINNFM 98.9, 11 in the AM. I'm Devon Cornelius. Welcome to the program. It's a beautiful Friday morning. I hope you guys had a very productive week. I know Monday was a holiday, so most of you perhaps spent the day at the beach. Monday was Labor Day as well, and so they had the Labor Day activities. And then, back out to work on Tuesday. But I hope you had a very productive week, and I wish you an enjoyable weekend. If you're off, take some time to rest yourself, spend time with your family and your friends and your loved ones, and reflect on the week that you have had. If you're starting, you've been off all week and you're going back out to work today or tomorrow, I still wish you the very best. For those of you who work on the weekend, you know how that goes. So Friday don't really excite you. You get to Friday and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to work tomorrow again because it's a Saturday. Yeah. Yes. But good morning again, guys, and welcome to Voices. It's for Voices for Friday, May 5th, 2023. I'm Devon Cornelius. Of course, let me give out the numbers early. The numbers to call are 466-0989 or 662-0989. So that's 466-0989 or 662-0989. The overseas numbers for the USA and Canada are 718-285-6984 or 305-921-4619. So that's 718-285-6984 or 305-921-4619. And if you are in the UK, you can ring us at 033-344-0065. Those are the numbers. And of course, we are live on our social media platforms. Check us out on our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel, Twitter, and Twitch. All right, welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining the conversation for today. It's Voices for Friday, May 5th, 2023. I'm Devon Cornelius. I want to hear from you, the listeners, what's happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis, an opportunity for you to share your views and opinions on matters of national interest. Happening or in the news right now is in terms of our local politics, is the expulsion of Cleon Stapleton Simmons from the Nevis Reformation Party. This is the much talked about topic to date. I note that my colleagues earlier for Island TV also touched on that as well. And other media houses have been touching on this, including regional media houses. And political commentators and political pollsters, ordinary people have been commenting on the development in terms of the expulsion of Cleon Stapleton Simmons from the Nevis Reformation Party. I would say it was inevitable. People saw it coming, so it's not necessarily was a surprise to anybody if you were following politics, especially that. Yes, that is the latest development. There was a period of calm, I should say, or maybe quiet, because there was the suspension in February of 2023, and we didn't hear much between February and, the end of April. Everything was just quiet. People had, stopped talking about it, and, basically everybody had moved on and, was just waiting for the outcome from the NRP's disciplinary committee, as well as their executive committee. That decision came on Friday, April 28th. According to Stapleton Simmons, she got the notice that same weekend. And since then, media houses have had programs on the topic, and political pollsters have been commenting on this. Let me put out this invitation early to join me on Inside the News tomorrow. The panel I had here before, Peter Wickham, Kamali Mannix, and Cecil Hamilton, they did promise to come back when or if there would was any new development regarding the Cleon matter. we didn't want it to be a situation where we came and talked about this thing, and there was no new development. There has been a new development, her expulsion, and so join me on Inside the News tomorrow from 11 a.m. Peter Wickham, Kamali Mannix, and Dassel Hamilton will join me here on the program to give their take on the expulsion of Cleon Stapleton Simmons' expulsion from the Nevis Reformation Party. What does that mean for her future? What does that mean for the NRP? What does that mean for Nevis politics? So yes, join me tomorrow, 11 a.m. But this is the much talked about topic right now. Of course, in any conversation, and especially one as controversial and interesting and exciting as this one, I say, you're always going to have people who are for, people who are against. But I think it's rather important, or very important, that we listen to both sides and listen to their arguments and what they are saying. And then you make that analysis and you say, okay, I hear where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Yeah, cool. But yes, I've been following the comments on this matter, and I know I like to use that word, very interesting. I like to use the word, interesting. But yes, they have been very interesting. I don't want to spend too much on this topic for today, as we will go deeper into that topic tomorrow when my colleagues join me for the discussion. But I thought that I should raise this with you, the listeners, first, as it is the latest development in St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of our politics and what is happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, also part of the expulsion. So people are not just talking about the expulsion of Cleon Stapleton Simmons from the Nevis Reformation Party. They are also talking about an interview she did with a regional media house, Carib Update, with journalist Callistra Faria. That interview has been making the rounds on social media, where Cleon Stapleton Simmons asked for the interview to be stopped and called what she believed was combative questioning. And so she believed that the interview was combative in terms of the style from Miss Faria, and she asked that the interview be stopped. And people have also given their take on that as well. Their comments saying, hey, if you're going into an interview, you have to be prepared. I've interviewed many politicians, many prominent people in our society here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and they would tell you that when I extend an invitation, there's some who will just come and we'll sit down and we'll have a discussion, because we have that understanding. They know what is expected of them. They already know what they want to talk about. And they know that there are questions that might come from not just me as the host, but from callers who may want to pose a question. And you never know what question may come from the caller. At the same time, you may never know what question may come from the host. You might sit down and discuss the questions before, and there would be something that you would want to ask because of how the conversation went. But if you're going into an interview, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for the tough questions, or for what we would coin or dub as hard questions. I note in St. Kitts and Nevis, so generally, but when I say St. Kitts and Nevis, meaning people who have approached me, they're like, you need to ask hard questions. So I'm like, what's a hard question? You need to ask the hard questions when you go to these press conferences and when you sit down with the politicians, drill them, ask them. So we have this mindset that generally politicians or people who are in public office should be drilled in an interview, especially if it's a controversial or touchy topic or something like this. They're of the view that if you are in public office, if you are a politician, you should be drilled and you should be able to answer the uncomfortable and the difficult questions, as long as you don't get personal. You stick to the politics or you stick to the topic, but when you get personal, then that is when things will take a turn for the worst. You understand? So that's it right there. But people like, you ask them the hard questions, the tough questions. And I always say, what's the tough question? For me, I ask the relevant question, the question of the day. Most of the questions that I ask at these press conferences and public engagements are questions that the ordinary citizens would ask. And so I ask the questions on their behalf. I do my homework. I check it out. I say, okay. And I pose the questions. As I've said on this program before, there's not all the time I'll be able to ask the Prime Minister 10 and 15 questions. Because, you don't have that time. You'll only be allowed to ask maybe 2, 3, 4 questions if there is that time. But the relevant questions, I think. And so with this interview, people have been giving their take. Some are of the view that this interview wasn't so sexy. And they believe that that should not have been the approach. Well, others are saying, yes. I looked at the interview from start to finish, and all of the questions that were asked are questions that we have been asking. When I say we, people in St. Kitts and Nevis who are aware of the impasse that the NRP had. And so, I gather from the line of questioning or the questions chosen that Miss Faria, she went and did some investigation, or she asked a few questions to get a better understanding of what is happening here on the ground. Well, Nevis, because everything is. But what is happening on the ground, and that is it right there. If you care to comment on this topic, I'll open the phone lines and I'll take your calls at 466-0989 or 662-0989. For USA and Canada, you can call us at 718-285-6984 or 305-921-4619. And if you are in the UK, you can call us at 033-344-0065. Those are the numbers to participate in today's edition of Voices for Friday, May 5, 2023. I am Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Also, in our news, we have recorded another homicide in the country. Shackle Campbell is St. Kitts and Nevis' 10th homicide for 2023. 10 people have been murdered for the year. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, they issued a statement on that, providing some details about what may have taken place in this situation. And they also used the opportunity to encourage citizens and residents alike to seek out peaceful solutions instead of turning to gun violence and crime and all of that. Seek out peaceful solutions, and they also expressed their condolences to the family of Campbell. But yes, we have now recorded 10 homicides. I don't have the specific numbers as it relates to how many we've recorded on St. Kitts and how many we've recorded on Nevis. I do not have that information. I'll try to get that and share that with you. But I want to believe it's 2 on Nevis. The first one was in January, and now this one what's today? The 5th? For May, yes, because it took place on the 3rd. It's 24 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. We'll take a break to acknowledge the sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion right here on 98.9. This is Voices for Friday, May 5, 2023. Let's take this break, and I'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow! Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Welcome back to the program. Let's head to the phone lines and we'll take our first call for this morning. Hello, caller. You are on the air. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Cornelius. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well.
The developments are unfolding fast and furious. That's
Yes,
not
they
the
are.
only development in Pinkerton Navy. But
Yes. Tell us.
worthy of note, and you did touch on it, and I'm going to wait for some of the experts to weigh in on other developments. But there was a survey conducted, and I heard it from our great contributor, Mrs. Henry. Good morning, Mrs. Henry. I did not go into it to research it as yet. But there was a survey, as you would notice, that Pinkerton Nevis have been represented as the monarch. King Charles III has been inaugurated as the monarch of England, or what left of the empire, the British Empire. When the survey was conducted on Pinkerton Nevis as to where our citizens would stand, is that are we still see that we want to maintain the monarchy, or we would want to become a republic like Barbados and others that has paved that path. And I was not surprised with the results of the survey, whether it was scientific or not. And I know that there is work to be done by the advocates of raising the consciousness of our people to know that even in terms of our pride, our people, who we are as a people, to know that the British monarch is none of us monarch. Initially speaking, yes, we would have adopted it and we would have called it ours, and we would go to the television when these events would have happened. The last time it was so far back, but the Queen was well loved amongst the people. But there's a lot of controversy with the King Charles III and his King Charles III. Raising from what? The record is there. It is there. History is there to attest to that, those controversies. But that was interesting, and I was not surprised that I did not get the result as to how many percentage. But our people still would be in favor of being with the monarchy for whatever reason. Just like when we independent was in the air, our people would have still want to be not being independent. And then now that we are independent, we will come to the conclusion and say, it's not so bad being independent for whatever it is, our pride and ourselves being on a nation and asserting ourselves and governing ourselves and so forth. So there's a lot of things, a lot of factors will come into it and saying, well, why if we move away from the Queen? I was asked by some Australian visitors that was here last week. I was asked, like, what would you stand to gain by moving away from the monarchy? And I asked the same question to the person. What am I gaining by being in the monarchy, by being a part of the British Empire in terms of that?
Mm-hmm.
So what would we gain or what would we lose? It's still out there. But me, personally, I would side for I think it's a Nevis moving away from the monarchy and becoming a republic, pledging allegiance to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. I can recall vividly when the Prime Minister was being sworn in, our present Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Dew, and he was not comfortable by reiterating, I'm saying after the judge, of pledging allegiance to the it was the Queen back then. It might have been. Had Queen Elizabeth passed then? I'm not quite sure, but he was not comfortable with it. So our Prime Minister would be the first one, should be the first one, to really start a consciousness advocacy in terms of raising the consciousness of our people as to what would we gain from staying in the monarchy under the British Empire, or what would we lose from being a republic. So this is one and many others. So I'm going to continue to listen to the program. What are your take on it, Mr. Cornelius, if I were to ask you? Because the younger generation needs to be sensitized as to these things. Hello?
All right. Yes, caller, you.
Yes. Thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you for your contribution to the program. This is Voices on WINN-FM 98.9 for Friday, May 5, 2023. I'm Devon calling you this. It is 11:32 here in our studios for today. I'm glad that you have raised that topic. Timely. Tomorrow is the coronation for King Charles the Third, and our Prime Minister with a contingent, the Prime Minister, the Premier of Nevis, and other members are in London. I think they've arrived. Yes, the latest information I saw is that they are there already, but they have journeyed to London to attend the coronation. Other Caribbean countries have done same. Prime ministers and ministers of foreign affairs and diplomats and all of that are in London or will be in London for this Saturday to attend the coronation. Of course, with this news or with this event, calls have been renewed for countries in the Caribbean who are still a part of the monarchy to become republic. Step back from all of it, including here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I've seen conversations being had about it. I am neither for nor against. I'm right in the middle, but I would have to weigh the pros and cons of such a move. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm right in the middle. It's not a here nor there for me. I'll be as frank as I can be. So I'm not one of those people who say yes we must do it. Or one of those people who was like, no, you're crazy, we can't do that. So that is my take on it. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 466-0989 or 662-0989. Call us and be a part of the discussion for today. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this call. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, Devon. Good morning. Devon, it's interesting to hear what your first caller said. Now, our leaders, Premier, is in the UK, and all that is taking place around in this coronation of the King Charles III. But let me take you back a couple of months ago when the passing of the Queen, where most of the African leaders that went to the United Kingdom to pay respect to the passing of the Queen, they were all shuttled on a bus, except to one president, which was the Ethiopian president, who demanded the proper protocol. Now, Devon, I know that the question would arise, how can they transport 54 leaders from Africa individually? Now, just recently on the news, we have the recent president of Kenya, William Ruto, make mention of how they were treated on the bus at the passing of the Queen on that same event. That they were all on a bus as if they were on tour of the UK. And in his view, he saw it as disrespect, and he's saying today that Africans have to be treated differently because the world cannot do without Africa. And I am behind William Ruto. Now, I don't know if becoming a republic going to make a difference to us. But we, Devon, we the people, and make no mistake, Devon, we are connected by blood, by DNA. It is a genetic fact. We are all one people. Africans I'm referring to. So yes, I am supporting William Ruto and other African leaders who are saying that we have to be respected because, you know, whenever there is a French-Africa summit, England-Africa summit, a German-Africa, they are all being summoned to come. So there has to be a shift in the system, Devon. And the grounds, it is happening on the grounds already. The youths are aware of what's been happening with these old leaders who we refer to as puppets for the West. And they are demanding change, Devon. Now, I don't know what this is going to bring to us here, Devon, but I am letting those who speak for us here on St. Kitts and Nevis, let them speak. But I am looking at the bigger picture, Devon, because there is a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is Africa, because, believe it or not, there's a new scramble for the continent. And I like to make mention of, in as much as former president referred to it as the derogatory word that he used. And then recently we have had the European chief, Joseph Borrell, who says Africa is a jungle, Europe is a garden, the rest of the world is a jungle, and Africans are easy targets. Looking at all these speeches by these public figures, Devon, we have to take that stand. We cannot allow them to use words and figures on us and say things in their racism, and we just accept it as normal because they know what the continent have, and that is why they're there. They're not there to protect us, Devon. So I am calling on us to come together. Let us wake up because there is a bigger picture. Thank you for hearing me, Devon.
And thank you, Carl, so much for your contribution to this discussion that we're having. It is 11:39 here in the studios of WIN FM 98.9. The phone lines are open, and we are taking your calls at 466-0989 or at 662-0989. Let's head back to the phone lines, and we'll take this call. The caller, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Host. Looking at this question of becoming republic, I personally think that these small, underdeveloped countries in the Caribbean, such like ours, with this high unemployment rate, we should focus more on, for the next 5 years, on bringing in light industries in the country. For instance, something like manufacturing toilet paper, sanitary napkins, paper towels, pampers, things like those, those kind of, we won't be able to attract heavy industries. But whatever light industry we could bring in, and those industries that we used to have here, electrical parts and other things that move from here, we should try and get them back in some way or the other. Becoming republic is quite a handful for politicians. It's only a glory for those who are on top, the politicians themselves. But for the mass of people, it's going to be a problem. And it will only go worse, as far as I'm concerned. We should try and remain under these countries for a little more time to get whatever help we can get from them. But it's a problem now to become republic. As far as I see it in the Caribbean. All these countries, we don't have nothing. Our economy is very low. So we should try and develop our economy. You know, that is how I think. I may be wrong or right, but I listen for other people's opinion. But presently, as far as I see, we need employment in the country. A lot of people are working. And we have to be careful with the poverty rate getting higher and higher. I'll hear some other people's opinion. Thank you.
And thank you, caller, so much for your contribution to the discussion for today. This is Voices for Friday, May 5, 2023. The phone lines are open and we are taking your calls. Call us to be a part of the discussion. People are weighing in on the conversation of becoming a republic. Or what's your thought on this? 466-0989, 662-0989. Let's have back to the phone lines. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Cornelius. Yes, sir, you hear me?
Yes, caller, good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. And you?
I'm blessed.
Awesome.
Mr. Cornelius, coming back to this Republican issue, right? Why can't they put it out into the schools and have it in a town hall meeting, like all those buildings that they have in community centers, and educate the people more about going into a republic instead of saying, well, they had a vote, and nobody here could say, well, who come to speak to them? Probably the vote could be done in England, and we don't know. I'm only assuming. If everybody say that,
that won't happen.
Yeah?
That won't happen.
Well,
that's not how the process goes.
People is saying that nobody came here to have a talk with them about still ordering the monarchy. I think something is wrong, and we have to know exactly who was the person that voted still to be ordering the monarchy, and what is in it for us if we have to go to republic. What happened to the younger children that haven't born as yet? And the children who still moving around and doing ill will in the Federation. We have to get the act in order and together to know exactly where are we going from here. Because we just cannot say because Barbados, Dominic and all those people gone into Republic, we should just follow them. We had sugar. Sugar is gone. And we do not have nothing else to lean upon. What is our main industry we have here in this federation, especially St. What is our number one industry? All we rely is on tourism. And tourism only like for 5 months or 6 months, that the case may be. But we all have to know exactly when we go into a republic state, what will be in it for our children and grandchildren for the future. That is my belief, and I think we should take a step and have it in the community centers, go out and have town hall meetings, explain to the people so the people could get a drift of what they are going to do to become a republic. Not to say because somebody gone in there as the fourth prime minister, he going to be the president. No, it doesn't go so. Explain to us, teach us an education about what our next step is. Because since the COVID-19, plenty of people is out of work. Plenty of people is out of work, and plenty of people is putting up their heads to get ends meet. I'm not mind if we go into Republic, but let us know from day one what are we going to benefit from it. Right now, the taximan them is scrambling to get a daily bread because ships is only coming in now on the off season. Everything is finished now from the season. They have to go up to the airport. They have to go to the Marriott. They have to go Jakarta and these other hotels to get a little piece of the pie. And I don't think we have nothing to say where we can go into the Republic. We don't have anything. Although we just come anyway and we talk certain things that we don't know anything about and figure, well, everything is okay. Because St. Kitts right now is the number one priority in the Caribbean and one of the most beautiful islands throughout the whole world. Everybody speaks about St. Kitts. But why are the young boys them still taking on each other? Are they following the American system? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Are they following the American system too? When you put on your TV, you hear they have shooting in the school here, how much people die, and all this. This is what we want our country to come to? The answer is no. One too much is too many. And we have to understand about becoming a republic. We just kind of watch the big fish them and run on into it, and next thing you know, we can say if we didn't know, we should have never got there now kind of thing. We have a 5-year mandatory for this president, the prime minister. Let him do what he has to do. But as long as he's doing something wrong, we speak about it, because when you all go to meetings with the prime minister, does you all ever ask him a question, why is it the Attorney General still is in office? I don't know why the Attorney General to come and tell me. You tell me as the Prime Minister, why is he still in office? And let the people in St. Kitts ease. And that is a big cry in the whole island throughout. Why are the St. Kitts Attorney General still in office when he don't commit something to the court? Nobody is speaking about it. We're bypassing this and we're bypassing that. And that is something we're supposed to speak about. If I have anything else, I'll call back in.
All right, caller, and thank you for your contribution to the conversation for today. It's 11:48. We'll take a break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion for today. Let's take this break.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
You're always safe with us.
What has you so happy?
My home internet just got upgraded, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
What? Which network you have?
Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price.
Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch?
No catch, my friend. 100 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Good morning and welcome back to the program. We have some more callers on the line, so we'll take these calls right now. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Devon.
Good morning. How are you?
Where you went?
Where I went?
Where you went?
Where I went? No,
You march up and down the hot sun Monday. When they're looking for you, they said that you still have sunstroke.
Oh,
Did you
no.
get sunstroke?
I wasn't at the march on Monday, though.
Thought you went to cover it, man. You got to cover this massive match.
No, I wasn't there.
Good morning to all those at home and abroad. Giving God thanks for another day. And I'm telling our people, start to pray. Beg the Lord, please send rain. Turn down the thermometer. Start to pray now. Don't wait until it is too late. Now, I am trying out a challenge for the Youth Parliament Association. You're still a member of it, right?
No.
Are you get old now?
No, but I'm not a member of the association anymore. But go ahead, make your
Anyway, I am asking them to put on a debate on the pros and cons of becoming a republic. Because they do their research, because our people don't seem to understand. Well, if we didn't understand independence, I suppose republic is a little too much for a lot of us. Britain was a member of the EU, you know. You know that, right?
Yes.
And they what they call it, the BRICS, what? They came out. What was the reason? They did not want the European Parliament to pass laws on them. That's the reason, you know, it wasn't a trade and nothing. They say, look, we are an independent sovereign country. And once you're a member of the EU, European Union, then the laws passed in that union has to be implemented in your country whether you like it or not. Now, if they could fight for their sovereignty, because that's what it is, what is keeping us back from demanding ours? Britain does say, well, you got to let man marry man and whatever. And then they turn on the screws. And there is nobody down here in that position to represent us. The ministers are working for the Queen. The Governor General working for the Queen, and so the Deputy Governor. The prison guard working for the Queen. The police working for the Queen. You realize that?
The King.
Well, the King now, the King. That is it. They're not working for us now. I hear one say how the Prime Minister was reluctant, not him. He wanted to be sworn in, he got to say it. When they go in the House and the Parliament, her heirs and her successors, not St. Kitts and Nevis, so the same way Trump said he wanted to rule, everything must be America first. You can't talk about St. Kitts first if nobody working for you. The courts belong to the Queen. The Parliament belongs to the Queen, well, the King now. See, they're gone up to pledge, you know. It's not enough to pledging down here, they're gone up to pledge. At our expense. So they call it the new form of colonialism. So they're gone for the King to see them. We have nothing to lose. They don't give us any grants like before, and it was like we are a high-income country. Nobody giving us anything. God bless Taiwan. Other than that, that's it. We need to understand what's going on. But you see, we don't educate our people. Our leaders don't educate. Oh, we go into republic. But the first thing you do after that speech was to swear allegiance to the King or the Queen then. It's time enough we mature as a people. All the other countries in the Caribbean saying, look, enough is enough. But what is our downfall is our politics. Some people who say they object, they only object because the party is not in power. That's how it is in the Caribbean. CCJ, well, if that is in, and I am on the opposition side, then I vote no. When are we going to realize we only hurting our own self? CCJ, they all belong to Privy Council. You run and the man said, don't come. How much more insults can we take? The man said, look, you all don't come. You all have a court down, they don't come. Do you want the king to tell you all don't come? I said, from today, nobody outside of Britain must swear by the king. Please. Y'all please start to wrap your head around it. We have matured enough. 40 years. That's like a 40-year-old man who live in the mother house doing own bed nor bowl.
I could recall the I think it was the Prime Minister or the Attorney General who said that they're going to take steps for us to become a republic by the time we celebrate our 40th anniversary.
40?
Yeah.
40?
40. But that's in September.
Look, let me tell you something. You hear me? When you're a politician speaking, don't bet your life on it. They like to say things that people like to hear. And it's the advisors, you know. They don't think for themselves. They don't think for themselves. Because as long as both parties agree to anything, it's not going to come true. They have to first begin to learn to work across the lines, party lines. You know, Nevis could have had secession in 1998.
Yeah.
You're aware of that, right?
Yes, I am.
Nevis could have gone their own way, you know. At the last minute, NRP back out. They had 62% of the votes. The same thing, if all we could do is vote along party lines to our own detriment, then we're not free. Britain want to be free. They have so much power. We know nobody must pass no laws over here on us. And we must design our own laws. And we want to keep our own currency. All of that, they have it there, Brexit. So we want to Brexit too. They Brexit, we want Brexit from England. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to the program. Just 2 minutes before the 12 o'clock hour, we'll break at 12 for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation right here on 98.9. Caller, thank you for your contribution and the contributions from the other callers earlier. It is just 11:59, so about 1 minute before we take a break for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll keep the conversation going. Let me say thank you so much for your contribution so far. For those of you who are just joining the program, we are live on our social media platforms as well. In terms of the discussion, the expulsion of Cleone Stapleton Simmons and a recent interview with her on Carb Update, and she ended the interview over what she called combative questioning. Our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Premier the Honorable Mark Brantley, and other members are in London for the coronation of King Charles III. Other prime ministers and ministers of foreign affairs will be in London this week as well. Tomorrow, Saturday, that is, for the coronation. The press release I saw from SKNIS also reads that the Minister of Foreign Affairs will be attending the coronation, but I think it said he will arrive on Thursday. So he's there already then. He arrived on Thursday, and the other members of the contingent arrived on Wednesday. It's 12 noon. We'll take a break for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation on 98.9. Let's take this break, and we will be right back.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Delisle Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the Win Midday News, I am Devon Cornelius. In our headlines, multiple stakeholders involved in minimum wage review, says Labour Commissioner James. Across the region, BVI Premier scoffs at no motion tirade from opposition legislator. Internationally, Trump says he will confront rape allegations brought against him. The details of these and other stories straight ahead. The Ministry of Employment and Labour is working closely with its tripartite partners and other agencies and institutions to review the current minimum wage in St. Kitts and Nevis and to determine the best way forward given factors such as inflation and the Consumer Price Index. On this week's edition of the radio and television program In Focus, Commissioner of Labour Shernell James said that the Minimum Wage Advisory Committee appointed by the the Minister of Labour, the Honourable Marsha Henderson, has met several times. She gave insight into the ongoing process. Quote, this committee is tripartite, plus in nature government, workers, employers and civil society, she stated. Each entity that is part of the Minimum Wage Advisory Committee presents to the committee a position paper, and it is based on data, which is the inflation rate, what is the employment rate, the consumer price index, and all of these things. And they would make a recommendation as per what they think the minimum wage should be based on the data they looked at. It is the committee's decision to look at all of these positions, determine at the end of it if we should have an increase or if there should not be an increase, and then present our findings to the Minister of Labour, who then takes it to her cabinet colleagues to review, Commissioner James added. Janique Eddy, head of the Occupation Safety, Health and Environment Unit, said that when he conducts health and safety inspections at various workplaces and sites, persons often reference the need for a pay hike. However, he added that employers have to consider the responsibilities of the employee, the workers' qualifications and experience, and the entity's salary scale. Market forces also will factor into the decision. We continue to field these questions and we continue to give the realist answers that we can, Eddy stated. Once we keep working on this minimum wage advisory, we will be better geared towards a better understanding of what we can do, end quote.
This is the Carib Update News Service. I am Wendy Chateau reporting. BVI Premier scoffs at no motion tirade from opposition legislator. This is the big story we're tracking this hour on Wednesday, May 3, 2023. Details of this story and more straight ahead. Now for the details. Returning British Virgin Islands Premier Natalia Whitley on Tuesday took a swipe at the opposition there after a member predicted multiple motions of no confidence will be brought against the new administration. Senior Virgin Islands legislator Julian Fraser predicted a rocky period for a government only with a one-seat majority. Speaking at a press conference, Whitley threw scorn at what he viewed as a suggestion seeking to disrupt local governance.
We've heard things from who they have described themselves as a united opposition, as saying that they're going to have votes of no confidence without anything coming to the House. So in my opinion, that shows bad intentions on behalf of the opposition. So I would ask myself whether they're interested in supporting the work for the people of the Virgin Islands, or are they interested in power? Are they just wanting to try to make the government look bad, or are they willing to cooperate, all 13 of us, in the best interest of the people of the Virgin Islands? The people of the Virgin Islands elected 13 persons who they believe were best there to represent them. It's important that we work together in the best interest of the people of the Virgin Islands and forget so much about trying to capture power. The elections are over. Now it's time to work on behalf of the people of the Virgin Islands.
He announced that the first session of the new House of Assembly will be on May 18. The Premier said it will be an active legislative session.
We have to build a system that is able to execute ministerial mandates more efficiently and more effectively. So one thing I'm going to do with this administration, not just for agriculture and fisheries, but just for everyone, we're going to have regular meetings with the Deputy Governor and the permanent secretaries, and we will hold them accountable to delivering on the mandates of ministers. I'll say to you, Zan, the experience, it's an experience like no other, going before the electorate and having to explain to the electorate why certain things were done or not done. And really, that's something that elected officials have to do. But we need persons who work within these various ministries, who work hard. They are hard workers. But there's certain things that we need to do to ensure that they are able to deliver the ministerial mandates. And these are mandates given to ministers by the people of the Virgin Islands. So you could expect a lot of action because we're not going to expect any less, and we're not going to accept any less for the people of the Virgin Islands. This 4-year term is going to be a productive term, and we're going to demand results for the people of the Virgin Islands.
During the wide-ranging first media briefing since last week's general elections, Whitley announced he will be going to London this week to attend ceremonies for the coronation of King Charles and to conduct other business. The opposition party in the local government legislature in Nevis has expelled its senior MP, Cleone Stapleton-Simmons, from the party. The expulsion was always on the cards after Stapleton-Simmons refused to back Nevis Reformation Party leader Janice Daniel Hodge to become the official opposition. With only 2 members of the opposition, the vacancy still exists, and there has not been any clear indication as to what will happen next. Stapleton-Simmons was previously chided by the party on her position not to back Daniel Hodge. The now controversial MP has sought certain assurances, including on who should be nominated as an opposition senator, before she supported Daniel Hodge. The NRP had won 2 of the 5 seats late last year in the local parliament. A statement from the NRP Disciplinary Committee said the expulsion came as a result of Stapleton-Simmons' failure to comply with the decision of the Executive Committee for her to support Daniel Hodge as leader of the opposition in the Nevis Island Assembly. This is Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service. In more news, the chairman of an executive branch of Grenada's opposition New National Party was shot dead on the Ward Island of Carriacou late Tuesday. The man was identified as Randy McIntosh. The incident is, however, not believed to be linked with politics, but to have stemmed from a personal dispute. McIntosh was shot dead in his vehicle at around 4:40 p.m. local time on Tuesday while in the community of Bogles. According to local reports, there are 2 bullet holes in his burgundy Escudo vehicle, and police also removed 2 spent shells from the van. This has been another edition of Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service, the Caribbean's newsroom. I'm Wendy Chateau reporting.
Over to Sudan now. The World Food Programme has said that millions of dollars worth of food aid destined for Sudan has been looted since fighting broke out last month. The WFP said pillaging in the country was rampant. Meanwhile, President Biden has issued an executive order authorising sanctions against Sudan, saying the fighting must end. Well, the latest ceasefire has failed to hold, with heavy fighting continuing in the capital Khartoum and in nearby cities. I've been speaking with our diplomatic correspondent Paul Adams, who is following the story from Nairobi.
Well, as you say, we're supposedly on day 2 of a 7-day ceasefire, but it's pretty much the same situation in Khartoum and elsewhere as we've seen on all the other previous ceasefires. In other words, there is really no ceasefire, and I think almost people should stop trying to pretend that there is, because for the reality for those millions of people still living in Khartoum is that they can hear the fighting all around them. It is in particular areas, the same areas that we've seen the fighting for the past several weeks, but it has remained pretty intense in those areas. And in the meantime, you have this incredibly lawless situation right across the country, because we've had a breakdown of law and order. The police are not functioning properly. It isn't just the warring military factions that are causing difficulty and hardship for the civilian population. It is now this rampant looting by armed gangs, youths wandering around with machetes and guns, causing difficulty for the aid agencies who are trying to get aid in. We've heard these reports in the last day or two of World Food Programme convoys being ransacked and looted, of warehouses being ransacked. So it's an impossible situation for the international community to mount an effective humanitarian operation, and that's why they're trying, and so far unsuccessfully, to get the 2 warring parties to inject an element of control on their people on the ground to make the aid operation possible.
Paul, in terms of the food situation, now clearly we're hearing these reports of food aid being looted, but what are kind of happening to the people in Khartoum, for example, that are needing to kind of get to source resources quickly and fast? How are they able to get to them?
Khartoum has got a lot of food markets. There's plenty of agriculture around the city. The last time I asked this specific question a couple of days ago to someone, they said, look, there's still fresh vegetables to be had. Trouble is, do you feel safe enough to go out and find them, or are you worried about running into armed gangs? And in some cases, in the last few days, armed gangs who are intent on kidnapping or forcing young men to join their groups. It's a very lawless situation, which makes the search for food and other supplies quite a precarious one. A lot of people stocked up early on in this conflict, but we're talking about a situation that's been going on now for 3 weeks, and some of the supplies that people got into their homes, whether it's water or dry goods, pasta and so forth, all of that is running out, and that's why people are taking the very, very difficult decision that they should ultimately leave the city and try and find refuge elsewhere.
Paul Adams, speaking to us from Nairobi.
Him. Now, a new Alzheimer's drug has been shown to slow the disease by about a third. People who took donanemab in trials were able to do more in their daily lives. It's the second medicine in under a year to raise hopes of an effective treatment for the disease. But there are concerns about the side effects as well as the cost. Well, with more on this, our health and science correspondent, James Gallagher.
OK, so when we think about Alzheimer's disease, you have to think of this as being a disease that we just haven't been able to treat. There are no treatments that change the course of this disease. So you get headlines like this: Alzheimer's drug slows the disease by a third. And that becomes a really significant moment in the course of the disease. Now, this isn't a drug that's going to stop Alzheimer's disease or reverse the damage that's already been done. But the way that it works is that when it's given to somebody, it slows the course of the disease so that that decline happens more slowly, allowing people to keep doing the things that they want to keep doing, living independently in their own homes for longer. So that's the hope that these drugs, this one and the one that we reported on last year as well, will actually bring in the future.
And so just talk us through, you mentioned it there, but just how does it work?
OK, well, it's clever, and let me take you through it, because when we reported on lecanemab, which was the other drug last year, we had some nice graphics, and both drugs work in exactly the same way, so we can kind of walk through it with you. So, when you have Alzheimer's disease, you get a build-up of toxic proteins inside the brain, and that's what these red dots here, it's called beta amyloid. Now, the two drugs, the one this year and last year, the way that they work is they're an antibody, and you give that into the body, and what it does is it goes into the brain and it starts sticking to this beta amyloid, the toxic protein that builds up inside the brain. And this is a massive signal to the immune system. It tells the immune system, find it and clear it out. So the point is that at the end you end up with a brain that has far less of this amyloid inside it, and that's how these therapies are working.
James, that's absolutely fascinating, and if it works, fantastic, but of course people have to have access to it.
Yeah, there are two massive problems here. So the first one is going to be the cost. So we know how much this drug, lecanemab, the one from last year, is about $25,000 per person per year. We don't know how much donanemab, the one that's been reported more recently, is going to cost, but these are going to be expensive drugs, and that immediately rules it out for huge numbers of people all around the world. The second great challenge is that we aren't actually that good at diagnosing Alzheimer's disease. So what you have to do is be able to do a brain scan or take a spinal fluid sample and actually have a look at what's going on inside the body to figure out, well, do you have this amyloid building up inside the brain, inside the body? Because only in those cases are these drugs going to work. So if you have different types of dementia, then these drugs aren't going to be great. So we need to have a revolution in diagnosing the disease as well as having these drugs.
Fascinating. James, thank you so much for that.
Former President Donald Trump slamming the woman accusing him of rape as fake, saying he'll probably attend the trial.
And I have to go back for a woman that made a false accusation about me, and I have a judge who's extremely hostile. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to confront this one. This woman is a disgrace, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen in our country.
So closing arguments in E. Jean Carroll's case against Trump are set to start on Monday. The former president has not appeared in court during the span of this 7-day trial. His attorney says he still doesn't plan to testify. The judge, however, is giving the former president until Sunday at 5 p.m. to change his mind. Carroll is suing Trump for battery and defamation. She says he raped her in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room in the 90s and then lied about it, destroying her reputation. Trump says it never happened. CNN's Kara Scannell joining us now. So, Kara, both sides have rested their case, but now we have, I guess, this little window until Sunday at 5. So now we just wait?
What an unexpected twist that happened yesterday. So Carroll's attorneys rested their case after calling 11 witnesses. You know, Carroll herself testified. Trump's attorneys said they were not putting on a defense. They thought about calling an expert witness, then didn't. And Trump's attorney had said that the former president was not coming. Then, of course, these comments overnight were hanging in the air all day yesterday until the end of the day. The judge asked Trump's attorney, "Are you resting your case?" This was outside the presence of the jury. He said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Does Trump waive his right to testify?" He said, "Yes." And then the judge said, "Well, I'm going to give you to 5 o'clock anyway," kind of acknowledging that Trump's attorney can't control his client. So he's saying, you know, just to protect the integrity of this trial, I'm going to give you until 5 o'clock to say for sure whether you want to do this. And the judge said, it doesn't mean I'm going to grant it, but I'm going to allow this space. And but they then went straight into conversations about the schedule, how closing arguments will take place Monday, and the jury will get it as soon as Tuesday.
And I think one thing is Trump's lawyers don't always speak for him. You know, obviously we saw that many times in the White House. He wasn't there in person, but they did hear from him in a deposition that I think was done in October. What is he saying in this deposition?
Yeah, so they heard about 30 minutes yesterday, and they heard about 25 minutes the day before. And, you know, in this deposition, Trump is kind of sitting hunched over, pretty still, you know, answering the questions. But it's the first and only time the jury will hear from Trump, as of now, you know, address these specific allegations in the case. It was your regular Q&A, but then they were confronting him with some of his own comments, including the Access Hollywood tape, where Trump is there and he's talking about how, you know, he's a celebrity, you know, he just kisses women, he can't help himself. A little bit of the deposition here, it's a videotape. We've asked for it from the court and the parties, and we're working through this process to get it. So hopefully we can bring it to everyone. But here's what he says. He says, well, historically, that's true with stars. And Carroll's attorney says, true with stars that they can grab women by the... And Trump says, well, that's what, if you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true, unfortunately or fortunately. And then he's also, though, addresses the defamation claim in this case. You know, this is all based on a Truth Social post he made. And he's, you know, asked, did you write this yourself? And he says, oh, yeah, I wrote it myself. You know, I don't know who this woman is. It's a hoax. She's not my type. And then he says to Carroll's attorney this: you wouldn't be a choice of mine either, to be honest. I wouldn't under any circumstances have any interest in you. So certainly not taking a more demure posture in his deposition from the Trump that we see often in these campaign speeches.
Yeah, certainly not.
No, I'm going to leave that one alone. Kara, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kara.
CNN anchor, senior legal analyst, and former federal prosecutor Laura Coates joins us. How problematic is that video deposition of the former president? Apparently kind of backing up what he said on the Access Hollywood tape, just saying that is something that celebrities often have been able to do.
Now, normally you wouldn't really have hearsay statements, right? Statements made outside of the courtroom admissible. This is an exception that's admitted here in a civil case because it's essentially a statement against his interests. And more importantly, although this has been a Hollywood tape that's been out there since at least his first presidential campaign, it now gives even greater weight to that testimony because now he is not the one testifying. He did not appear at trial. He does not have to appear at trial in a civil case, which is very surprising to many people. people. But because he did not do so, because he is yet to testify and may not ever testify now that the defense has said he will not, it gives greater weight to what was said. And so he's not going to counter it. He will not clarify the statement. And that just sort of rests there before the jury to consider, well, then is there more credit to be given to E. Jean Carroll's testimony?
Kara Scannell just mentioned this. I want to play the clip of the former president who's in Ireland saying he'll head back to New York to appear at the trial.
And I have to go back for a woman that made a false accusation about me, and I have a judge who's extremely hostile. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to confront this one. This woman is a disgrace, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen in our country.
Are you going to I mean, it's not really clear, as with many things, what he's saying. He's saying he's going to go back. He's not saying he's going to testify, just he's going to go back and confront whatever that means in Trump speak.
Whatever that means. And of course, it does have actually a legal definition, right? You have the opportunity and the right to confront an accuser and to confront a witness testifying against you. If he meant it in the legal sense, well, his attorney has contradicted that and said he's not going to put on a case. He's not going to present evidence. He's not going to be the person to actually do so in a courtroom, in a court of law. The judge, however, is being very prudent here. Those statements seem to contradict what his attorney is saying, and there is an abundance of caution that is really demonstrated by judges to ensure that somebody who otherwise has a right to confront one's accuser, who has a right to testify in a case, will have every opportunity to do so. Why? Because most judges are afraid of being appealed in a way that says the judge did not do enough to secure and protect the rights of anyone accused, even in a civil context. But as the judge noted, unless he says he will intend to do so by Sunday, then that ship has sailed. Frankly, the fact that he already said he's not going to do so would mean that ship is well along the horizon at this point in time. But out of an abundance of caution, given the stakes of a case like this, the actual person who is being accused, a former president, I suspect he's trying to extend that abundance of caution here.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure insure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Delisle Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Welcome back to Voices here on WINNFM 98.9. It's Friday, May 5, 2023. I'm Devon Cornelius. It is 12:38 in the PM here in the studios of 98.9. The phone lines are open and we are taking your calls. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take our first call for this afternoon. Okay, we lost that one. Let's get this one in. Hello, caller. You're on the air and good afternoon.
Greetings. Thanks for accepting our call.
You're welcome.
Homelessness, landlessness, plaguing us, especially landlessness. And we don't say from your born, from birth, to get a piece of the rock somewhere. Now, me and my family say, the land belongs to we. What a prick. Me want to get some more information about that. Me see my mother work down Canefield, in the camps. Work all about. And my mother dead, landless. Don't own a piece of land. That is terrible. And we say that from birth, if we get a piece of land, people have said that is ridiculous and that is impossible and that is that. Land all about. Me and my family say, climate change and live, and what will be, In the meantime, people have to have them own space. How big this space is. It can't be like some have 3 heads and some have 1. And some live good and have them land and have them house and whole heap of people not have that. We want a level playing field around here. My family say, the land don't belong to we. Me want her to explain that. Me hear what she said about the climate change and the this and the that and the tower and the other. And when people get land, them don't expect to just live. Them expect to plant. Basic food. And the right and proper food. So therefore the earth. And them places there's appropriate. Whether it's mountain up, appropriate for that. Once it's not stony and blah blah boom boom, we don't say the 68 year a fertile land, So therefore we know we're good to go. And we have said this lawlessness for done with. Like yesteryears. We can't got the situation like some all right. And most of it all right. It can't go on like this. Otherwise it's going to cause some serious bam bam. And we have seen people come from other plantation lands and our own piece of the rock and all them think they for stop too. Them think they for stop. Make people who is from this plantation here think it's Nevis be alright first before we spread out like that. Because Guyana got land abundantly. Yet you see people from Guyana come here say no old land. How we go so? We only talk about Guyana but other places too. How we go so? Them think they should stop. That's what we say It's important for the right places in being the right places, Because when the right faces are in the right places, things go right, Blessed thou.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. The phone lines are open. Sorry, let's take this quick break, and I will be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas, announces king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts. We have the best service and competitive rates on LCL and FCL cargo, including D&E containers, cars, heavy equipment, buses, boats, and barrels from Miami to St. Kitts. LCL pickup service anywhere in the U.S. Call local agents SL Horseman and Company Limited at 869-465-4086 or 869-662-5008 for further details. King Ocean's king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts Nevis. King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas.
Welcome back. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take some more calls. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Call us at 466-0989 or at 662-0989. This is Voices for Friday, May 5, 2023. I'm Devon Cornelius. The phone lines are open. Let's take this call. Hello, caller. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Oh, good afternoon again, Devon, and good afternoon, family. Let me explain to you what I mean when I say the land is not ours. You go down to the bank for a mortgage and you default, the bank can take your land. land no longer belongs to you. Under the former Labour government, a lot of land was put up for debt. The land was pledged for debt, and of course the government could not pay. So if you check, the land belonged to the bank, but it is kept under special purpose vehicle. So for the government to get access to the land, they would have to purchase the land back. Am I making it clearer? They had put up 12,000 acres, and I think they had to put up maybe 600 acres more. So it's about between 15 to 16. I know Dr. Harris said he bought 400 acres. So until the land is paid for and it can be bought back, so even when they bring in investors, they will have to buy the land back from the special purpose vehicle. So while we say a lot of land out there and Arcane and Bush and so, the land is not ours until we buy it. That is what I mean. You understand, Devon?
Yes.
So until this person wants 300 acres and they're going to put down, if this government intend to give the investor for the house the land, it will first have to buy it back. Is that clearer? Devon?
Yeah, I understand that, caller.
Yeah, but my family didn't understand. All right, then. Thank you very much.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to the program. It is 12:47 here in the studios of 98.9. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls. Call us at 466-0989 or at 662-0989. For USA and Canada, that's 718-285-6984 or 305-921-4619. Let's head back to the phone lines. Hi, caller. You're on the air. Good afternoon.
And so the question, Mrs. Henry, there are more questions than answers. So the question, when former Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris purchased some of the land, which area, what constituency, if we was to use a constituency as boundaries, how many constituencies were those lands was recovered from? Would the spread of the housing scheme, which is I lauded, the housing scheme, would the spread of the housing scheme, and we expect more information as this thing unfolds, as we know the leak, if it was to be called a leak, emanated from not the government of St. Kitts and Nevis' side, but from the potential investors from the Trinidad end. So maybe the government had some things that they wanted to disclose, but now they was forced to, prematurely it might be, to face the public and explain this thing. What constituencies, where are those lands are, so that we could say, well, okay, we're going to start here. And as the project unfolds, we would know and we would want to hear that the government would have gone to the bank and purchased other land to suffice the whole project. Because it's not instantaneously. Some amount, as I understand, some amount of the housing would be, in the timeline for some of the houses would be maybe this year, of the next year, because it's supposed to be 2,000 and all, 20-something, 100 houses. So we want to see and we want to know the land that they might be able to build on now and how wide they might be spread. Because every constituency, the applications are spread, I would assume. The applications for those lands in the NHC would be spread. So we want to see 20 there, 30 there, 30 there, 20 there, and cover the 8 constituencies on St. Kitts. Mrs. Henry, you are the expert in this area, and we respect you for that. So there are more questions than answers. This is one of the questions that we, the general public, want to know more about. And we hope that some of the things that the present administration are faced with these questions, we would hope that they would show their intention to purchase other lands from the bank. Thanks for listening.
All right, caller, and thank you for your contribution to this program. It's 12:50 here in the studios of Win FM 98.9. The phone lines are open, and we are taking your calls. We're going to head back to the phone lines, and we'll take some more calls. Hello. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Yes. From my recollection, some was bought down in Sandy Point, you know, where they had the project, where the golf course was to go.
Okay.
I think I heard them say they bought back some of the land down there. They bought back some land in Keyon on number 8 and in number 7. Other people who call and say if they know of any other constituencies. So I know it's supposed to be 7, 8, and 5. All right then, that's what I remember. All right then. Mr. McMahon, come and help me out.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to the program. The phone lines are open, and we're taking your calls at 466-0989 or at 662-0989. USA and Canada, you can call us at 718-285-6984 or at 305-921-4619. For the UK, you can call us at 033-344-0065. Those are the numbers that you call to participate in the conversation for today. This is Voices for Friday, May 5, 2023. Those of you who are just joining the conversation, you can also follow us via our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Let's head back to the phone lines, and we'll take some more calls. Hello, caller.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Glad to help out Miss Henry, but she should stop engaging in semantics, right? She was correct in speaking about and comparing it to a mortgage. Essentially, we mortgage the land for debt, okay? But the difference with this particular arrangement is that whereas we go to a bank and we mortgage whatever we have and we pay it off, then it becomes ours. In this particular case, who is the major shareholder of the bank that the debt is owed to? It is the government. In other words, the public. In other words, we essentially borrowed from ourselves. Okay? That's what it comes down to, you know. That is why it's relatively easy to just purchase whatever acreage the government needs for whatever development it has in the cards. All right? It's not a case where it's difficult and you have to deal with the bank at arm's length. All right? Because essentially we borrowed from ourselves. Okay? We took out a mortgage on the land to pay off the debt, or really in exchange for the debt. And so at our convenience, essentially, whenever there's a development, we go back and pay ourselves, essentially, to free up lands for that development. All right? So saying things like we don't own the land is not technically correct. Okay? Well, it's technically correct, but it's not de facto correct. Right? In reality, we still have access to the land. It's just that it was as it was in the beginning, so to speak, just an accounting trick. That's what the land for debt swap was, essentially. Took the debt off of government books and mortgage the land for it. Okay? Simple. I don't understand why we still have to be wondering about this. I mean, to me it was clear-cut. The mere fact that the last government was able to just buy back land just like that to do whatever development it wanted, we can do the same thing going forward. Okay? That I think is it's borrowing. Essentially, you borrowed from yourself, and you're paying back yourself. I don't see any. That's just an accounting trick as far as I'm concerned. But there's another thing that I want to talk about. This thing about the being a republic. I don't know. It's a good question to ask. What would be the difference if you stay as you are compared to if you become a republic? All right? When you look at it, to the ordinary man, it's not going to make much of a difference, you know. Okay? It's just a psychological thing, an emotional thing more than anything else, where you cut all links with, let's say, your parents. Right? They may have been there, although you might have been independent, living by yourself, etc. They might have been there to back you up if things turn sour. All right? If you cut all links, you're going to be depending on their goodness, the goodness of their heart, so to speak. They're under no obligation to help you out if you're in a bind. Those sorts of things, that essentially is. To the ordinary man, it's really no difference. Okay, and one of the things, I don't know, I guess it's up to those who want to take us out of being under the monarchy, to explain this to the citizens, right? It just feels better cutting all links with your ex-colonizer, right? I think that's the case of it. But if you look at what has happened with the coronation, it was interesting. We sent the second highest delegation to London for this coronation. I think and actually you can Google it, go on Wikipedia, and you will actually see the numbers there. Okay? We have 8. Antigua had 11, plus a contingent, I think, of the armed forces. Belize had 1. This is representation at the coronation. Grenada 6, Jamaica 2, St. Lucia 1, St. Vincent 2. I mean, even the U.S. had a small one with just Jill Biden, the president's wife, and I think John Kerry. All right, Guyana had 1. The president is going. Now, when you look at that, you have to wonder, what does that say about how we review Republican status?
I see. Yeah.
Leaving the monarchy and going to Republican status. It suggests to me, right, strangely enough, that we're less inclined to leave the monarchy, judging from those numbers. Even Dominica wasn't seemed, unless the information has changed between yesterday and today. Dominica isn't sending anybody, right? You know, Dominica has Republican status, okay? So, you know, it's mixed signals really when you look at it. You know, that's definitely mixed signals, and we wonder about. I got the impression that we were going to try for Republican status by next independence, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Okay, but obviously some kind of education, if you want to call it that, have to go into this to to essentially get people on board with the idea of republicanism, right? And remember, too, that this may have implications for things like our final court, our final court of justice, whether we go into the CCJ or we're going to stay with the Privy Council.
Right.
Right? And so I think all these are things that we'd have to prepare for. I don't think overnight, since I think in our case we need a referendum. Is that correct, I think? Right. So since it needs a referendum, and we are the ones who are going to be voting, I think people have to be educated on exactly what they'll be getting into, right, and getting out of as well. Okay, I made the point on another forum that it's all well and good to say, well, we want to cut all ties. But if you were in Sudan, where there's a crisis right now, and we wanted to get out, we don't have an embassy in Sudan. Where would we turn to? Who would we turn to? We'd have to rely on the good offices of some friendly power, and I can bet your life that one of the first countries that our foreign affairs people would call is Britain or United States or Canada, right? Because we have particular links with them, or some other Commonwealth country, because we have traditional links with them, right? If we're on our own, well, we're on our own. we really have to rely on the good offices of some benefactor to help us out in a situation like that. So these are things I think we have to look at. It's not just a matter of an emotional reaction, let's just cut all ties and that's it. Okay, there are real implications for doing this. Okay.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for that. But yes, I think that too must be a part of the conversation. For St. Kitts and Nevis to transition to a republic, those are things that must be taken into consideration in terms of our final court of the final court of the decision in terms of whether we're going to stick with the Privy Council or the Caribbean Court of Justice, and there are other things to consider. But I recall, I'm not sure if it was the Prime Minister or the Attorney General who said that the aim is to, maybe it was the Prime Minister, the aim is to get to republic status by time St. Kitts and Nevis turns 40. It could be that event while we are in our 40th year and heading to 41. But I believe it was 40. For those of you who are not sure of the delegation going to London, it says here that Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew departed the Federation on Wednesday, along with a delegation bound for London to attend the historic coronation of His Majesty King Charles III, which will take place on Saturday, May 6, 2023. Also attending the King's coronation are Governor General Her Excellency Dame Marcella Liebert, GCMG JP, Deputy Governor General Nevis, Her Honor Mrs. Hailita Liebert, MH, Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, Permanent Secretary in the Prime Minister's Office, Naima Hazel, Diaspora Ambassador, Christine Walwyn, and Protocol Foreign Service Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Thorvia, France. The Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas will travel to London for the coronation on Thursday, May 4, 2023. Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, will assume the responsibilities of Prime Minister in the absence of Prime Minister Dr. Drew. The coronation ceremony will take place at Westminster Abbey, London, and will be conducted by the Archbishop of Canterbury. It's 5 minutes past. We'll take a break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Stick and stay.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Here are your Horsford's Value Club Blue Tag Special.
Running May 4 to the 17th.
Now your Value Club Blue Tag Specials. Pillsbury Cake Mix, just $6.49. Bush Baked Beans, $7.99. Essential Everyday Grated Parmesan, $11.99. Essential Everyday Frozen Fries, just $13.99. Bounty Essential Paper Towel, $39.99. Pringles Chips is just $8.49. And now your very low weekly
value deals. Gatorade, $4.49. Mueller's Pasta, $5.99. Kellogg's Special K, $15.49. Minute Maid Punches, $8.99. Essential Everyday Salsa, $9.99. Dial Soap 3-pack, $9.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them it's Manisha.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
Welcome back to the program. Let's head back to the phone lines and we will take some more calls. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Thanks for taking our call. Yes, family, we heard your answer, and we also heard the response from the person you called on for the help. Let us remind all and sundry, that land is the basis of every struggle. Whether the struggle be on the continent from which we were taken, or the struggle be in these plantations where we were dispersed and scattered. Yeah? Land is the basis of every struggle. It is said, that the system is a fraud. But we always say, and remind all, that the system is not in a vacuum, The system is run by people who make decisions which in most times do not benefit the masses. And these kind of arrangements, especially when it concerns land, is very, very, very unwanted. This situation here, no good at all. But we heard the response from the call on. And we want to remind all and sundry about the landlessness that is plaguing the masses. The landlessness, when you have a piece of land, you can knock up a tattoo until you get something better. So the housing thing will solve. Land. You want to repeat it. From your born, you forget piece of land. From your born, you forget piece of land. And we know that this can be possible. We don't care what nobody say, We know it can be possible. Just show we don't want a level playing field around here. And don't care of the plight of the masses. It's only when it's convenient to get the excess. Time. Blessed love.
Thank you, caller, for your contribution. Thank you for your contribution to the discussion. We'll head back to the phone lines and we'll take some more calls. Hello, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon to you.
And how are
Hope
you
your
doing?
day is fine so far. Yes, a caller a few calls back said that, well, I would like him to clarify what he meant by what I'm about to repeat. He said, well, one line. He said that we sent the second highest delegation to England, I guess, to the coronation of whatever that is supposed to be. So I would like to know, when he said we,
I think
who is he referring to?
St. Kitts and Nevis.
St. Kitts and Nevis. So what is meant by St. Kitts and Nevis? You see? When the politicians swear allegiance, they swear allegiance to the Queen, her heirs, and her successors. They don't swear allegiance to us. So I don't see in which way we send the second highest delegation to England. Now, in terms of the land situation, I will leave that a while. I won't address that. But I think yesterday or some days they had a discussion in the, I think on this radio station concerning some polling that they did and something to do with who down here was in favor of the country becoming a republic. That is in discussion for today.
Yes, callers have been weighing in on it in terms of whether they believe the country should become a republic or not. I'm not familiar with the polling that you've referenced, but you can also give your take on that, though, on whether you think we should become a republic.
I have some questions myself. What did they say? This should I say pollster or polling agency? Is this a credible or reputable agency?
Well,
as far as you know?
Well, as I said, I'm not familiar with the polling that was done, but I would assume that it's a reputable organization.
Okay. And the answer in the affirmative, it is said that, well, the majority of persons who were polled said they do not want to become they don't want us to become a Republican. Is that correct?
I honestly don't know. I haven't been following.
Okay, because it seems like that is what I'm understanding. That based on the poll, a percentage say that, well, quote unquote, we are not ready to become a republic. That's what you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So if it says that we are not ready to become a republic because of the high percentage that apparently said no, should we take it for granted that there was a poll conducted among the majority of the people in the country? Would you agree?
Repeat that question again, sorry.
If it says, if the result from the polling says that, well, based on the percentage, because it seems like it's a high percentage, it's above 50%, alleging that the majority of the people in this country they are not in favor of us becoming a republic. So if that is the case, don't you think then that the majority or the masses of the people will be exposed to this polling? Would you agree?
Right, yeah.
Okay, and based on the results that you're getting from what people are calling in and saying, they say they have never seen a poll, right? They will never question about this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
Right.
Okay. Both of us are on the same page, and I guess some other people. Now, this is my analysis, my take of this thing. Now, if there is something out there saying that a poll was conducted, and we have to assume then that the majority of the people of this country say they don't want to become a public, then we have to now find out who was the target population for the pollster. See what I mean?
Right.
Apparently, the masses of the people, well, let me conclude by saying that I can analyze that, draw a conclusion. Could be right, I could be wrong. The majority of the people were not polled. So who made up this target population? Because you see, a poll can be done depending on what information an agency is looking for. That information that they're looking for could only affect, let's say, okay, out of 50,000 people in a population, not specifically to this country, anything randomly. 50,000 people in a country, whatever information they're looking for could only affect, let's say, 10 persons out of that entire population. So that 10 persons is 100% of their target population. So if they question those 10 and 8 says yes, then the what they call it, the conclusion to be drawn is that 80% says yes. 80% says yes. But 80% of what? It is the 10 persons who happen to be part of a larger group. But what they're looking for did not affect the larger group. Now, this brings me a little closer. Could it be then, if a poll was really conducted, and this is a reputable polling agency, everything is reputable above board, could it be then that probably the target population might be the politicians and those who form part of the governing body in the federation? Could it be them? I'm going to say something else, but it seems like I'm going to go off track, but not necessarily follow me. That Constitution, you know how many times citizens have said, listen, we want constitutional reform, we want electoral reform, we want this, we want that. It didn't just start. It have started for quite a while. But up until today, I can say we have not really seen anything that is concrete to say moving into the affirmative to say, yes, we are there with the change. Yes, we are with the change. And we can see the movement there, maybe over 50% of the work being done. We can say right now we're not seeing anything per se. Constitutional reform, it's just a footstool that is used, or a football that is thrown around, and then you don't see anything. Our politicians, they swear allegiance to the Queen, her heirs, and her successors. So our politicians pledge allegiance to. So their interests, the interests, whose interests are pushed, whose interests are protected, we have to say it's the Queen's, her heirs, and all of her successors, and her successors are everybody else who look like her. Whether they have royalty, quote-unquote royalty or not, right? Because they could form part of corporations, they could form part of other agencies, they could form part of whatever. They go all around the globe and they set up whatever. They are all the Queen's successors, right? So these are who our people, our politicians, pledge allegiance to. So coming back to the polling, the pollster, maybe to this group, the relevance of an answer, whether yes or no, does not lie with the majority of the people, the masses who are the voiceless. Could it be that for this agency and the persons, the masses of the people have no say, right? They are irrelevant in the wider or broader scheme of things. So the target is really the politicians and those who might be there governing along with them. What they say is important because they are the ones who are, quote-unquote, in the vanguard, are standing as the vanguard over the people. So who wants to control the masses will go through them. So could it be they are the ones who are targeted, they were the target population? And again, what if that is the case, what do we expect the politicians and those who are there to say? I'm not saying that everybody is going to come up and say no, and I'm not saying everybody is going to say yes. But if this is the case, I don't expect the answer to come out as no. The conclusion will be said yes. Why would they say yes? Does that mean that the politicians do not want the country to become a public? Of course, I believe a lot of them would want to. But you have to consider a lot of other factors. A lot of other factors have to be considered. And I don't have the time today to speak to that. Right? But if this is the case, you and I and others can see why an answer in the affirmative could be extracted from them, quote unquote, like for them being under duress or under pressure. They have to give the support. No, we don't want to move away. They're already pledging allegiance to them. Okay? If we move away, what do we have to stand on our 2 feet? I have said some time ago, you see this CVI money and all that sort of thing. I said, if this country is taken down, it's going to be taken down not from us within, it will be outside, because it's them outside there that our politicians are turning to do whatever background checks and all of that sort of thing. It's persons who don't look like us. So if they want to use, if they feel like, well, okay, our politicians are not towing the line, you see in which way they can use a program like this to bring us to our knees. Everything is intertwined, you know. Everything is intertwined. This is like a spider's web. Everything is intertwined, right? So outside of that, what do we have to stand on right now? Does it mean that there are no other options? Yes, but are we exploring them yet? No. What is keeping us back? I don't know. Could it be the mentality of people? And yes, yeah, it could be. Could it be politics, this political divisiveness? Yes, it could be. Why are we not moving forward? Is it a matter that we don't know what to do? Of course we know what to do. But again, when you're going to come from the back end to penetrate a market, it might be a little difficult. So we have to come up with a little differentiation of products to enter, you know? So, I don't know. For us to really know who says that no, we do not want to become a republic, that majority, I think the question has to be asked to the politicians. We need to know from them what they know about this polling that was done. If it wasn't them, and as long as we trust that they're telling the truth, then who could have been so brazen and have the effrontery to come and say something about the people of this country saying that they don't want to become a public when it may not be so? So I think the politicians need to be asked. I think that is where it is left. Only unless maybe the question was the target population was also the expatriates who might come among us. Because a lot of them look just like the Queen, her heirs and successors. They may not want to be removed from under that headship. Because for sure, whether we want to believe it or not, they don't want any one of us to govern over them either. Some of them only pretending and behaving themselves because our politicians have pledged allegiance to them, to the Queen, her heirs and successors, which is also them. So it's either the expatriates, it's either the political arena. One of them could be the target population. I'll continue to listen. I don't know what other people think. Have a blessed day.
All right, Carla, and thank you for that contribution that you've made to the discussion. I am enjoying the views and the opinions shared by the callers on this topic of St. Kitts and Nevis becoming a republic. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take some more calls. Hello, caller. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, thanks. And you?
Me too. You sound strong, man. What you had to eat?
Well, you wouldn't believe I haven't eaten anything for the days yet.
Okay, I could see where a lot of these callers, with the point of view coming from, and I agree with them. Everyone has their own point of view. Devon, I'm older than you. I'm going to show you something. I think the state of St. Kitts Nevis, I think we got what we call semi-independent. What do you call it? What it is? Anyway, between 1966 and 1967, we get statehood. Yeah, that's the name of it, statehood. And before that, every month, there comes a battleship from England, and it anchored in the harbor once per month. Then after we get statehood, then you find it moved from every month to every 3 months. A battleship would come in from England, and occasionally one would come in from America, and both of them anchor in our harbor in St. Kitts. Then after, in 1983, and they move up and say we get independence, hey, them battleships were wrong. You don't see them now. American battleship would only come in here if there is a terrible disaster and people from other countries want to invade St. Kitts. And however they get in contact with America, then they would send a battleship. It depends on what happened. And also, England too. They would only send a battleship if a member of the royal family has to visit St. Kitts. Otherwise, they're not coming. So earlier o'clock, I heard Mr. McMahon, and I agree with him. When we chop off all the toys that we have, and anything happen, it's only the goodness out of their heart. They will say, okay, look, you know what, let me help them. For humanitarian sake, let me help them. Or they could say no. They could say, well, you pull away from me, so stand on your own. So there is a lot of things behind decision when them politicians go up and make decision. And that is why I agree with a lot of the callers, them, you know. This, what I had, this poll, what I had come talk about majority of people. Nobody come by me. Nobody come in my village here, where I live in. Come make no poll. So how they could say the majority of people?
Well, I guess you're in the part of the majority. You know what I see? You know what I see about politicians? When politicians are in control of the ship, they want to say, well, okay, when this thing happened, I was the leader of the country. That is all they're heading for. And then to them, that means a lot of things. Oh, I was the prime minister when this happened. And so that goes on a record, and then it seems like when they're gonna select people to be national hero, that is one of the criteria that they use to select people. Because again, I don't think only politicians should be called national hero. There are other simple people in the communities. The amount of things that they did to save lives and save people's property, they should be called heroes and national hero too. But I do not know the criteria. Now let me go to our land and business in St. Kitts. I don't know if you know when Newton Ground and St. Paul's are. There is a stretch of land between Newton Ground and there's an estate called Broderson Estate. That is in Newton Ground, Bounge. From that gut there by Broderson, go right over to a gut in St. Paul's called Church Gut. That piece of land on the seaside of the road, all of that piece of land there belongs to Chinese. I don't know if it's one Chinese or two, but it belongs to Chinese. And how I get to know that? From somebody who working for Skelec.
said that they have to remove all the skeleton pole them off of the land because that land has been, I don't know if they trust it, borrow it, or lease it, but it belongs to Chinese. That's where they build a hotel. So a lot of things going on in St. Kitts with the land and we don't know. And I don't know if it's the Chinese woman who went with the entourage of people to United Nations when they went up there for, when this new administration went up there.
Right.
I don't know if it's that Chinese the land belongs to. But I agree with like I said, I agree with all the call of them. We lots of questions to ask, and we need to get the answers to them. Come on, people, I don't do that. No, this thing here, what they gone up there, go witness the coroning, the thing of the king. What so many of them gone up there to do? What happened? All of them got a different application to demand money from them to bring back down here for the country? To me, all of them don't need to go. If Mr. Castro had to go from Cuba to go to some place, he ain't going with them lot of entourage of people. And other countries we bigger than us and richer than us and can afford it more than us. They would only go with one, and that's the leader. Some of them will go with two. But what is load of tourist thing going up there for? What happened? They find money? Are they just laughing afterwards? The taxpayers who got to pay their passage to go up there, and all of them gone and dry ride? That is dry ride. Just to watch a man put on a crown on his head. I mean, come on.
All right, caller.
I'm going to let you go now. But why they didn't say, well, okay, we are going to England to witness this, and we would be working with this, that, and tower, the other. Them is abusing the taxpayers. But anyway, Devon, you have a good, not weekend, strong end.
All right, caller.
Okay, then I'll be
You too, and take care. Thank you so much for your contribution. This has been another edition of Voices right here on WINN-FM 98.9. Thank you so much for your calls and contribution to the program. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Be sure to join me tomorrow morning at 11 right here on WINN-FM 98.9. We'll have political analyst Peter Wickham, youth parliamentarian and political commentator out of Antigua and Barbuda, Kamali Mannix, and social commentator Cecil Hamilton from Nevis to comment on the expulsion of Cleone Stapleton Simmons from the Nevis Reformation Party. Until next time, you guys, stay safe. Have a good one.